All right, so it's 9 o'clock. Just wanted to welcome everybody here. It's so exciting when we get to see everybody and just even if in a virtual environment. But the announcement here this morning is not only welcome to our virtual TSMC breakfast, but welcome to our last virtual TSMC breakfast. Is that right? We'll find out. But right now, it is absolutely correct. So we're excited to be obviously the best sales and marketing team in the land. And so what we want to do is be excited about getting together in person. I know I am. I hope you are. And we don't usually have a TSMC breakfast in April with MAME coming up, but we will have a special presentation on April 20th. We're still going to do a virtual training with Jason Forrest, and he's going to talk to us about selling in a rising rates market. So that couldn't be more timely. So we're excited about that. But without further ado, now is the time to give a special shout out to our sponsors. So we want to get that underway. So Jim Allen Group, New Homes, woo! Open Door, Truist, Angel Oak Home Loans, Builders Auction Company, Coastal Federal Credit Union, Martin Communications, Movement Mortgage, the News and Observer, and Wells Fargo Home Mortgage. We could not do what we do without your support. So we just wanted to say thank you. Thank you so much. So we have a great speaker coming up today who I am not going to name. You may know the picture, but we're really excited. We couldn't have a better person in the house to listen to this morning. So you're going to be really excited about that. So stay tuned for more on that in a minute. But let's kick it off by learning more from what's going on in our membership committee. So Ned and Angie, can you fill us in on all things membership?
Sure thing. Thanks, John. Last month we launched the Beat Savannah initiative, and I'm happy to say that we've gained 11 new members, getting closer, but not quite close enough. We are actually doing our pizza party / call hour planned this afternoon at the Home Builders Association. Starts at 12:30. If you want to join, please let us know. And we will make sure to have enough pizza for you. So we're just going to call around for past members or people that maybe don't know that they should be members and prompt some folks rejoining or joining up for the first time. We're also planning to team up with the TSMC Social Committee to combine a membership drive with a few networking events. So stay tuned for more information on that as well. I'll kick it over to Angie to introduce some new members that we have.
Yes, let's welcome those new additions to the TSMC family. Stan Parton at Caldwell Banker, Howard Perry and Walston, New Homes and Land. Chip Brown, Loan Depot. Aaron Hernstein, Loan Depot. Michelle Sims, Strive Coaching Studio. Welcome everyone, and I encourage you to get involved. I know it's not ideal being virtual, but not much longer. And you can still get to know people and network through all the events that we're having. Speaking of networking, the new member coffee chat is a great way to connect with the HBA staff, TSMC members, and it's also a great way to find out what's going on inside the TSMC. The next coffee chat is on March 31st at 9 a.m., the last Thursday of the month. Back to you, JC.
Thank you so much. Hey, the community outreach team has been working extremely hard in planning and working on the project. So Caitlin, MJ, you want to fill us in on what's new there?
Sure. Hey, good morning, everyone. It's great to see you all. The Community Outreach Committee has been talking with CASA and Rebuilding Together of the Triangle. We're putting together 2 projects this year, one in late spring and one in fall. CASA has a potential project for us on May 17th. This is the day before our next TSMC breakfast, which if you didn't know, this will be our first breakfast in person in a long time. So excited. This is going to be held at the Briar Creek Country Club. We'll update you all via e-blast and phone calls as we get more information on what this project entails. And in the fall, we're teaming up with Rebuilding Together again for a 3-day project. This is a really big project. And in total, we're going to need 72 volunteers and we're going to need to raise $17,000. With all your help, I'm confident that we can do it. Again, we'll update everyone once we firm up those details. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Yeah, nothing better than be able to give back and contribute to our community and our fellow neighbors. Hey, Janice and Hunter, MAME is right around the corner again, and I know the theme, but why don't you take it away and find out, tell us more about what was going on, and I guess judging happened yesterday.
Yes, thank you, JC. You're correct. Judging did happen yesterday. Thank you all who were judged and for having your homes and entries unlocked and looking good. The judges were wildly excited and had nothing but nice things to say. With that being said, online judging will finish up this Friday, and the late and final deadline for $1 Million Circle is the 22nd.
Awesome. Thanks, Hunter. Just so you know, we still need your help. So the call for sponsorships are still out there, and it's never too late to become a sponsor. So please reach out to Jill, Hunter, or myself to learn about sponsorship opportunities. We could definitely use your help. Call for tickets will open around the first week of April. This event sells out fast. And I know that after 2 years of being virtual, it will sell out even faster. We're expecting a really fun and exciting night full of people. So please be out on the lookout for the email announcements. We can't wait to see everybody on April 28th. Back to you, JC.
Thank you. Hey, before we get to our speaker this morning, it's time to recognize those sales performance winners. So Ashley and Brandy, you want to take it away?
Thank you, JC. So February, it looks like we were very busy. So I'll get started. The winner for individual adjoining county attached, highest sales volume and number of homes sold, selling one home in Cameron Crossing for $302,000. It goes to Liliana Wagman with Terramore Homes. The winner for individual adjoining county detached, highest sales volume and number of homes sold, selling 11 homes in San Marino for $4,817,992 goes to Courtney Maley with Terramore Homes. The winner for individual Chatham County detached, tied number of homes sold, selling one home in Collins Ridge single family for $590,000 goes to Demetria Batchelor with DR Horton. The winner for individual Chatham County detached, highest sales volume and tied number of homes sold, selling one home in Riverstone Estates for $2,200,000 goes to Carrie Bornkessel with Fonville Morrissey Barefoot. The winner for individual Durham County detached, highest sales volume and number of homes sold, selling 4 homes in Brighton Station for $1,833,376 goes to Katina Hughes with Meritage Homes. The winner for individual county attached, highest sales volume and number of homes sold, selling 6 homes in Wyckoff for $3,435,314 goes to Marianne Posadell with MI Homes. Individual Wake County detached, highest sales volume and number of homes sold, selling 6 homes in Haywood Glen for $3,038,100 goes to Laquita Douglas with Terramore Homes. The winner for individual multi-community, 1 agent, 2 or more communities, tied number of homes sold, selling 2 homes in the Courtyards on Holt and the Courtyards at West Cary for $1,281,675 goes to Corbin Kennedy with Epcon Communities. Individual multi-community, 1 agent, 2 or more communities, highest sales volume and tied number of homes sold, selling 2 homes in Laurel Ridge and Seaforth Landing for $2,650,000 goes to Evelyn John with Fonville Morrissey Barefoot. The winner for team category, 2 or more agents adjoining county, highest sales volume and number of homes sold, selling 7 homes in Bedford at Flowers Plantation goes for $3,051,769 goes to Jamie Matela and Stephanie Vidal at Mattamy Homes. Team category, 2 or more agents, Chatham County, highest sales volume, selling 5 homes in Legacy at Jordan Lake for $3,903,821 goes to Phyllis Pike and Jim Saramelli with Lennar. The winner for team category, 2 or more agents, Chatham County, highest number of homes sold, selling 7 homes in Chatham Park for $2,429,000 $585 goes to Rich Monahan and Tina Aquilino with Lennar Homes. Team category, 2 or more agents, Durham County, highest sales volume and number of homes sold, selling 16 homes in Findle Farms for $9,272,366 goes to Matt Lovelace, Donna Smith, and Patty James with Lennar. The winner for team category, 2 or more agents, Wake County, highest sales volume and number of homes sold, selling 17 homes in Geneva for $9,551,712 goes to Gail Tate, Carrie McDonald, and Austin Antwine with Lennar. The winner for team category multi-community, highest sales volume and number of homes sold, selling 3 homes in Pleasant Green Farm, Culvert Farm, and Belmead Estates for $5,311,400 goes to Allison Guthrie and Allison Stewart Small with Hearthstone Luxury Homes. The winner for mega team, highest sales volume and number of homes sold, selling 62 homes in many communities for $42,678,652 goes to Jim Allen with the Jim Allen Group. The total submitted for February 2022 was $168,306,750, selling 284 homes. What a great February. So I'm going to turn it over to Brandy for a quick announcement on awards.
Thanks, Ashley. So we are super excited. We have added a new category and we're now celebrating our online sales counselors. And the winners are for Internet Sales Counselor Team, selling 65% of overall sales, goes to Susan Ott, Carrie Leatherwood, Tina King, Kat Venturi, Caitlin Beck, and Kristen Baltimore with Lennar. The winner for Internet Sales Counselor Individual, selling 45% of overall sales, goes to Christy Seeger with Terramore Homes. Congratulations.
Thanks, Brandy, and congratulations to all. Just one more great round of applause for all of the sales that were made. Even more importantly than those great numbers are the lives that we improved in this matter of time. It is amazing what we're creating and the opportunity for people to create a new start and a fresh start in a brand new home. So exciting for that. So without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and turn it over to Jason, and he's gonna introduce our featured speaker this morning.
Thanks, JC. Our speaker is sponsored by Truist. I'm excited about that. And he's actually bringing this talk straight from the IBS show, the Super Sales Rally. He's an expert in psychology of influence and persuasion and a highly sought after performance consultant, international speaker, and advisor. He's been recognized by the National Speakers Association as one of the top speakers in the world and is an author of 10 best-selling books. While I don't want to bore you with more credentials, he was most recently honored with the Lifetime Achievement Award from the National Association of Home Builders for his years of service in the housing industry. He speaks to literally thousands of professionals across the globe each year. During his unique travels, he's met people from all walks of life and discovered a few secrets about the art and science of closing new home sales. He's here today to share some thought-provoking insights on how you can become an salesperson to level up your career. He's spoken in front of 4 US presidents. Please welcome John Palumbo.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you. And let's make sure I've got myself centered on here, right? Okay, great. I think maybe on the introduction, something must have gotten cut off. I don't know if you read it all completely. I know it said 4 US presidents, but it was supposed to say that was at Mount Rushmore. So they weren't really live and in person, but in either case, so much for that. Good morning, everybody. I would love to say hello to all of my friends there in Raleigh. There's way too many of you for me to mention you in this program. And so it was good seeing all of you at IBS this past year and talking to everybody. So let's just get on with what we had the pleasure of doing at IBS. This program was sellout. It was a great program, and I think you're going to enjoy it this morning. And so as we talk about becoming the unsalesperson, there's something called expectations. And so I want to make sure your expectations are set properly. What exactly is becoming the unsalesperson? And it's about becoming a little less salesy and a little more professional. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to share with you 7 specific strategies. Try saying that one, 7 specific strategies, and share it with you. You'll get messed up with it too, just like I did. In either case, so the expectations are, it's time to unlearn a lot of what we already know. You know, the past couple of years have changed the way we sell. Some people are actually doing it online. Some people are starting to get back in person again. But these strategies have emerged. I tell people every time I write a new book, I figure that's the last time I'm going to do anything. And then I think to myself, I've given all I can give. I can't give anymore. There's nothing else for me. And then I realized there is one more idea out there. And that's where the unsalesperson was born. And so with that, I want to give you the first strategy of understanding what I call the unfactor, which is why people buy. I ask this question in every program that I ever do. And people say, oh, it's because they like me, they trust the salesperson, they like the community and all of these things. And those are all true. However, the real reason that people buy is because other people are buying. And when I say that, I have some people look at me and they'll go, I don't know if I totally get that. Well, let me give you an example. Why do you think people don't buy? Now it begins to make a little more sense. People don't buy because other people aren't buying. And so when we look at this thing called the unfactor, we have to understand what causes these to come about with people. They're unimpressed, they're unprepared, they're unfamiliar, and sometimes just uncertain or even uneasy with what's going on. And so with that becomes this thing I call the unfactor, and it's what makes people uncomfortable. And so it's easy to ascertain why somebody has bought and what they're buying for. But the real principle is trying to determine why somebody didn't buy, and that uncomfortable. Our job is what we want to do is not make them uncomfortable with what we're doing. We want to eliminate the unfactor and delete it. And the excitement is easy to identify. We don't want to overlook the pain points, because everybody comes in with an issue. And today it could be supply chain. It could be the prices are high. It could be supply is limited in what they're getting. And so it's not good enough just to listen anymore. We have to address those negatives head on and know what it is that's causing these pain points with people. Help them through their concerns. I'll give you another example. I'm not getting a lot of calls today for people that says, come in and help us learn how to close better, John, even though that's what I specialize in. They come in and say, we need more help in understanding our customers that are getting angry with us, or because we can't build them fast enough, or because of supply chain issues. And so we have to coach them through those same concerns today. It's taking time to get to the root of the real problem with every buyer that's out there. And it's taking that extra few minutes so that everyone has an unfactor. And we know that. There's an unfactor that exists with every consumer the moment they walk in the door. And there could be a dozen different things. It's your job to uncover and unburden those people with this thing called the unfactor. Now, becoming the advocate, that's a totally different ballgame. So what qualifies you as an expert? What qualifies you to go out there and call yourself an expert so that you build that trust with your consumer? What do expert status and beauty have in common? I ask this regularly inside a program, and here's the simple answer. Both live in the eye of the beholder. In other words, whether or not you're an expert is whether the consumer holds you as an expert or they don't hold you as an expert. Here's what we have. We have expert status versus trusted advocate status. Trusted status is something different. Expert status is granted to us the moment they walk in the door. And here's what I mean. The moment they walk in that door, they assume that you are an expert at what you're doing. The company has hired you. They have put you in that model home. They have put you in front of that camera. They have put you on that telephone. And so they assume that you're an expert, not a dumbass, or you wouldn't be there where you're sitting. And so with that, you automatically get that. The company has spent tens of thousands of dollars making you an expert the moment they walk in the door. However, advocacy must be earned. Advocacy is nothing more than the level of trust that you bring to that customer. We want to become an advocate for the customers at any cost. There's no shortcut to building that trust. Let me give you a quick example. 11 years ago, how many of you remember this guy? On the nightly news in 2007, Time magazine named Williams one of the 100 most influential people in the world. He was one of the top news broadcasters. And with the blink of an eye, and literally within moments, that trust was broken. They found out he had broadcasted a news story that wasn't totally on board, and it was gone. You won't see Brian Williams out there anymore, ever on nightly news at prime time, because once the trust is gone, it's gone. So you have to remember, earning trusted advocacy is something that you have to do. Earning expert status is something you're granted the moment they walk in the door. Now, when you put both of those together, it's a beautiful thing. And so that's where we build that rapport with the customer, is earning that advocacy that we bring to the table. Number 3, forgetting the upsell. I love this because the upsell is something that the customers definitely can feel when they walk in the door, and they can smell it. And let me give you an example. In our society, virtually everyone has been trained to upsell. If you go to McDonald's, they ask you, do you want to make it a biggie fry? Do you want to make it a biggie drink? And do you want to make it a quarter pound or a double quarter pound? And that's everything from McDonald's to any fast food chain. And even when you're going into retail merchants today, they want to upsell and upgrade. Consumers are almost trained to getting that. So in our business, we also do it. We tend to want to offer more things, upgrade the sale. And so it can slow down the sales process. It can also slow down the trusted advocacy process where you're building trust. And here's what I mean. When you upsell, you put the buyers on a touch more of a defensive because they can feel it. They have this uncomfortable feel for what's happening. Let me give you an example. You're out having dinner one night. You go into a nice restaurant, you look at the menu, and you pick out something that you want. And as soon as the waiter or waitress comes over, you say to them, we're going to have this item on the menu. And let's just say it's $45, which is not unheard of today, maybe even at McDonald's with the prices of everything. But let's just say it's $45 for that dish. And the waiter or waitress looks at you and just kind of does like this. I wouldn't choose that tonight. And all of a sudden you're like, what? And he said, yeah, I've seen it coming out of the kitchen and it's just not one of our best dishes this evening. Maybe another time, but I wouldn't recommend it this evening. What are your chances of you're going to say, that's okay, even though you're not recommending it and it doesn't look good, go ahead and serve it to me? Almost unlikely. And then they look at you and say, could I recommend this? And they point out something else on the menu that's similar, but let's just say it sells for $30 and not $45. Instantly, you look at that and you realize they just recommended something less. Your trust level increases dramatically just for the waiter or waitress because of the fact that they simply recommended something less. And we all know waiters and waitresses work on tips, which is another word for commission, and at the end of the meal. So they just recommended less in order to help you. That's an advocacy that they just served you with. And so with that, you go ahead and order the lesser expensive item and you're thankful for it. Now, here's how they turn that in reverse on you. Later down the road, they say, would you like to order some wine with your dinner? And when they show you the wine list, they're recommending a bottle of wine that sells for $80 or $90. Well, what are your chances if you normally get a $40 bottle of wine, bumping up to an $80 or $90 bottle of wine just because the waiter or waitress has recommended it? You see, you earned their trust so early in the game that now the waiter comes back and recommends something else, and more than likely you're going to take that recommendation. Here's the point. We want to win hearts and wallets at the same time. It's not just winning the customer over as a friend, it's winning their wallets in order to do business with us. So when we utilize something that I call the downsell, where you can start at a higher price and then work your prices down. I've spoken about this for years. It's called priming is another word for it. But in downselling, we may start with our higher priced product, and then we can recommend less and less and less. Some salespeople have a hard time doing this. I've worked with companies that they literally had a hard time doing it. But once they began offering their higher priced products and then recommending less based on what the customer's needs, wants, and more importantly, their desires were all about, it changed the way they sell. The customers love being recommended less to and still getting everything that fits the bill for them. So keep that in mind next time you're out with a customer. Work with a higher price, then work your way down and see how that works for you. Let's take the next step, which is number 4, the right moment. And I know when I'm working with people, I'm always looking. I've discovered there are virtually 2 moments that we look for in every sales transaction. One is an opportunity, and the second one is a goal. Now, there's a difference between looking for an opportunity and then the second one is looking for a goal. Let me give you an example. When a customer says something that we can validate with words like, "You're exactly right," I'm constantly looking for this. And so I'm listening to the customers give me feedback. They can say something about anything, the economy, the weather, what's happening in the market, the homes, our processes, that I can compliment them with the words, "You're exactly right." They become magic. Because every time you can say, "You're exactly right," you build the relationship with your customer. "You're exactly right" is an opportunity. That's what it is. It's a compliment to the customer and it's an acknowledgement of understanding. It says, "You get it." It's a signal of agreement. And so just using those simple words, "You're exactly right," becomes very powerful when you say that back to the customer. Now let's talk about part 2, the goal. Our goal is to have the customer repeat back to us, "That's right." And I know what you're thinking right now. What's the difference? Well, the difference is we're listening. "That's right" is a goal. "That's right" is when your customer says, when they feel completely understood, they look at you and go, "That's right." Is your customer signaling to you they feel empathy for you, and "that's right" is a sign that the connection has been made. So when the customer looks at you and you're saying something or demonstrating something or giving the benefits or the facts about your products or services, you're able to look at them and then it puts you on a path for a trusted based influence. And here's what it summarizes. Fully summarize your customer's position, both in content and how they feel about it. And "that's right" is their only possible answer. And so we look for that. "You're exactly right." That's right. "You're exactly right." That's what I'm looking for to say to them. "That's right" is what I'm looking for them to say back to me. When you connect those two together, the sales process begins so much more easy. You've gained the trust of the customer. You've become an advocate for the customer. You know the connections made. With most salespeople, they simply feel that they've got a connection because they ran their mouth and they talked the whole time. But these are the indicators that you're moving in the right direction. An unsalesperson uses these small clues along the way in order to give them the confidence when they get down to the end that a closing is going to be waiting for them. They're not going to have to beg for it. And believe me, when markets change, these tools will become even more valuable. But right now, they're still valuable in connecting with our customers. So we get to item number 5, which is the great equalizer. The great equalizer is simple. Stories are the great equalizer. And in our business, I'm sure that you've heard this over and over again because stories have become very popular. We've done them. Sales have always been about telling stories, but it seems that every time I hear somebody speak or read it in a book, everybody talks about telling stories. But I'm not sure that they really give the connection of what type of story to give, when to give it, how to give it, and the importance of giving it. They just say you got to tell stories. And as sales professionals, and regardless of what phase of the industry you're in, you're a sales professional, whether you're with a title company, a mortgage company, whether you're selling new homes, whether you're a realtor. And I know we have a variety of all of that here on this broadcast this morning. They become an equalizer. Wherever there's competition, and no matter what field it's in, any industry that it's in, any societies, everywhere that we look, strategic advantage is simple: the ability to tell a good story. And you'll see that in just a moment. Let me share with you this. In his book, Dream Society, Rolf Jensen says the highest paid person in the first half of this century will be the storyteller, valued for his or her ability to produce dreams for public consumption. Now, if you want to take a screenshot of that, that tells the story plain and simple. The ability to produce dreams for public consumption. That's really what it's about. And here's what storytelling virtually does for you. The better your stories, the smaller your prices look. It's as simple as that. The better your stories, the smaller your prices look. And so your greatest value that you bring to the table is the ability to do something that I call magical thinking. I think you're going to like this in the next few minutes. I want to give you another good example of what I call magical thinking. Take, for instance, this 1968 Ford Mustang. I look at it and the first thing that goes through my mind is, sweet. I actually had one of these back in the day. Of course, I got it in kindergarten at a very early age, but in either case, I had one of these. The price is about $3,500 in 1968. That's what you could have bought this car for. And so when you look at that today, it's worth about $25,000. That's not a bad investment, especially for one that looks that good. However, when you take that car and you look at the way that it runs and the way that it looks, and then you take that same car and you put it into this movie with Steve McQueen as Bullet, and then you take the fact that the car has been missing literally for the past 40 years, something happens. You see, this car now goes up for sale with all of this story behind it. When it was made, how much it was, how it's been missing. It creates some mystery. It's been missing for 40 years, and that it has now reappeared, and it sells for $3.7 million. The question is, why? Why did it sell for $3.7 million? And the answer is simple. The car has a story. Magical thinking is an opportunity that we all have the option to do. Let me give you an example. That car didn't change from when it was worth $25,000 without the story. $25,000 is a lot to pay for that car, considering what it sold for back in the 60s. But the fact that the story gets added to it, the inside doesn't change, the paint doesn't change, nothing on that car changes except what? Think about this for a second. What changes about that car? What changes is here in the consumer's mind. Because the story was told, the value increased, and with that, the car became more valuable. That's what magical thinking is about. So if you're selling homes in a community that have a story, if there was an Indians settled there, or the Pilgrims came there, or there's a creek that runs behind it that has a history to it, you owe it to your customers, you owe it to yourself to tell the story of why the builder, developer selected that plot of land, why they've chosen that home to build on that site. Every product, every service has a story to be told with it. Stories are a driver to emotional values. And when we get good at telling those stories in order to create that emotional value, stories captivate. It's as simple as that. Stories communicate, and stories compel the customers to feel that itch inside of them to want to move forward in order to simply purchase your products, your services, because of who you are and what you've done. Stories influence customers. It's as simple as that. And stories close. The ability to tell the story the right way, and this is the real art and mastery of sales in our industry, the home building industry, is the ability to tell a story that closes the deal for you. And when you get good at that, the deal does close for you. You see, without a story, you become just another tree in the forest, or Another way to put it is you become another car on the lot. It's as simple as that. And so as you look at this, I want you to think about how you give the relevance of your story, how you take, here's one that I love. How many of you have ever heard somebody start to tell you a story? And whether you're out with friends or you're in a business situation and they're telling you a story and they look at you and go, now to make a long story short, have you ever had that? Let me ask you a question. The last time somebody said, now to make a long story short, did the story get shorter? I don't think so. In fact, what they're probably doing is they're giving you a warning. This is going to be a long story. This is going to be a long story. Every time I hear somebody tell me, and I want you to listen to this next time you're out there, next time somebody says, now to make a long story short, you have to be careful because you don't want to roll your eyes or look at your watch because you probably know that story is about to get longer. I don't know why this happens. It's sort of a phenomena of nature, but to make a long story short never really makes the long story short. So here's my make a long story short to you. I want you to truly become an unsalesperson master of making long stories short. This is what captivates the consumer's mind, not to tell the long drawn out stories. And if you're not good with this, get with a partner, get with your sales manager, get with someone who can help you shorten these stories so that you can tell a story and get your point across. For instance, how long did it take for me to tell you the quick story about Steve McQueen, the Mustang, and how it became worth $3.5 million or $3.7 million? The ability to tell these stories quicker is really your attribute to connecting with the customers. Becoming the invisible persuader. This becomes so crucial in today's market in becoming an invisible persuader because that's the ability to sell without sounding salesy. That's the ability to convince without them feeling as though they're being pushed or shoved. It's the ability to give them the opportunity to make their own decision based on the influence that you put to the table. An invisible persuader is simply this. There's a psychological artistry in becoming a true unsalesperson. I've told people this for years. What we do is art. And the ability to create that canvas each time a consumer walks in the door, we know it, you know it, I know it. Every customer is different. Every customer requires a different story, a different twist. Even though we follow certain procedures of the meeting, greeting, demonstrating, qualifying, closing, there's still a point of once the canvas is up there and the outline is done in pencil, we become the artists that apply the colors and that apply everything that is necessary to get where we need to. And we have to tell hidden stories. That means stories that have a meaning behind them. Another word for that might be a metaphor. And the better you get at that, the more influential you become with your customers without them ever feeling as though you're trying to sell them something because you allow them to sell themselves. Most presentations are full of info and they don't tell the buyer a story. It's as simple as that. And if you create the bonds by telling stories, and here's the reality, facts don't change minds. So when they walk in your door and they're looking at several different options, just remember, friendships do. Facts don't change minds, but friendships do. And so once absorbed into a story, they will begin to drop their intellectual guard. And when I say dropping their intellectual guard, what I mean is they begin to open up to listen to what you have to say without being defensive, without being on guard. And when you're utilizing some of the tools of the unsalesperson, for instance, some of the things that we've just talked about, creating that advocacy, bringing the trust levels up, beginning to sell down rather than up and trying to get more and more money out of them, we're getting less. You understand that's where this phrase comes where less is more. When you sell down, you have the ability of literally getting those customers to buy more, bringing more people into your doors because you sell differently. You awaken the attention inside of them. And so let me give you an example. Jonathan Gottschall in his book, The Storytelling Animal, he says very clearly, we are as a species addicted to story. Even when the body goes to sleep, the mind stays up all night long telling itself stories. What do we call them? I know what you're thinking, dreams. That's exactly what they are. And so we are addicted to this. The customers thrive on it. So if you're filling them with just info, Jan Hansbrook, one of the best storytellers out there. Jan, if you're with us this morning, good morning. He really understands the art of this storytelling. It's one of the things that causes him to become so outspoken in the sales award community, is because of his ability to tell these stories. But he's not the only one. There's a lot of you there. There's a lot of you all over the country that understand this, but getting it down. So here's a secret to storytelling. You first of all have to keep a storybook. And when I say a storybook, I'll give you an example. People ask me, John, you've written 13 books. Wow, how do you do that? It's real simple. I keep a storybook, and the storybook is keeping record of, and here's a good one for you. How many times have you been dealing with a customer and you've said something and it just jumped out of your mouth and you thought to yourself, wow, that was some good stuff. And I know I have to remember, I'm not just sitting here talking to myself. You said, wow, that was some good stuff. And the problem is we don't go write it down. Even now, sometimes if I'm doing a session where it's a little more relaxed, I'm not sitting on a time limit to finish up, I will say things because of a question that comes to me and I go, wow, I can't believe I said that. Or the question really led me to an answer that jumped out of my mouth. I'll stop for a moment. I'll say, excuse me for a second. I write it down. I write down everything. My daughter's in this business and she has really gotten good at realizing when she says something that she thinks is really good, she writes it down, because I've really been an advocate for that for her for a long time. And so the compelling storyteller becomes the invisible persuader. It's as simple as that. With your words and stories, stories literally do the selling for you. It's as simple as it gets. We feel stories. We feel stories. I don't know how many of you got to go to IBS this year, but I was there. We did the sales rally, as you know, and it was fabulous. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the other speakers, but I enjoyed going to the show. But I want to share with you something that happened with me while I was there. I was in the bookstore and I had some books there, and a gentleman walked up to me and he looked at all the books on the bookshelf, and I introduced myself and he said, John, I'm a builder. Now this guy looked to be in his mid to late 60s. He said, I'm a custom builder. And he says, I've been building all my life. And he says, but I'll be honest with you, I'm not a good closer. And he was there with his wife. And I said, you're not a good closer. He goes, no. He said, I really, people trust me. And when they buy from me, they tell me that all the time. I said, so you spend a lot of time building trust with them? He said, yes, I do. And he said, but I'm not a good closer. Is there, and then he looked back and he said, is there a book here that you could recommend out of the Builder Show bookstore that would make me a better closer? And I stood there and I looked at him and his wife, and I was just kind of like, I think his name was Lee. And I said, Lee, you need all of them. You need all the books that are here. I said, there's no one book that makes you a great closer. I would love to tell you one of my books would, or, one of these books that Meredith Oliver has read, has here at the show, or Carrie Mulcrone or Myers Barnes. I would love to tell you that book is the secret, but it's not. And I said, it's an attitude. It's the way you feel, and it's the way you see, and it's the way you operate every day. So if you're not a good closer, you'll need to start that journey now. And he just kind of looked at me and he says, well, what do you suggest? I said, you know what? I'm going to give you a 60-second lesson of everything I have on these bookshelves, which all my books are there. And he was trying to figure out which one he wanted to get. I said, you don't have to get any of them. I'm going to give you a 60-second lesson. Now, by this time, there are 4 or 5 people standing around kind of listening to what I'm about to say. So I'm going to give it to you, the 60-second lesson on how to close more sales and operate as an unsalesperson. I looked at him and I said, so what happens is you'll spend an hour or so with a customer, right? And his wife jabbed him and said, or 2 or 3 hours. And I said, okay, or 2 or 3 hours. And I said, and you get down to the finish, and then you take out your card and you give it to him and you say, if you have any other questions, just give me a call. And he said, yeah, that's kind of where I am. And I looked at him and I said, here's what I want you to say. Next time, instead of taking that card out of your pocket, and when you're finished, I want you to look at them and say, and the next step is. And he just looked at me and he said, and the next step is what, John? And his wife jabbed him and she said, get the money, get the money. And I said, well, she's pretty close to right. This is when you would literally ask for the check. And so with that, what happens is, by simply saying, and the next step is, you're telling them what it takes to buy a home from you. When you give them their card, when you give them your card and simply say, you know, call me, they're going to go down the street, because to the consumer, the next step is go home and think about it. The next step is go down the street and shop with somebody else. The next step is go home and sleep on it. That's what they think the next step is. So unless you tell them what the next step is, and he goes, okay. And I said, that's all you have to do. When you get to the finish, just say, and the next step is, you would sign this paperwork. And then the next step is, you would give us a deposit of $10,000. And then here's the best part. The next step after that is I start construction on your home and we build your dream. And I looked at him, I said, could you remember to do that, Lee? And his wife jabbed him. She goes, I'll make sure he remembers it. And I'm thinking to myself, why isn't she selling the homes rather than him? Because she gets it. And so it was just that quick. And the 60-second lesson was simply this. Next time you have a customer, all you have to do is simply say, and the next step is. This is the biggest thing that most people never do. And understanding the psychological artistry in becoming a true unsalesperson. Remember, facts don't change minds, friendships do. And so in number 7, becoming self-realized, let me give you an example of what self-realized really is. Fulfillment by oneself of the possibilities of one's character or personality. The perfect balance between the ideal self and the real self. And here's what it's called: authenticity. You can't become another salesperson. You can't go out there and sell like somebody else. You have to be yourself. Melinda Gates said it best: fitting in is overrated. There's no need to try to fit in. It's okay to be different. And you know, you have to let that inner light shine inside of you. It's as simple as it gets. Oprah, I love this. I had no idea that being your authentic self could make me as rich as I've become. If I had, I would have done it a lot earlier. Now, this is Oprah. She says being 100% original is where it's at. And so we just have to forget the script and go with what's here. Now, you need to stay on track, but the script is just something that has to come from the heart. When you sell from here and you utilize the strategies we've talked about, the customer feels that sincerity. I want to give you one final strategy to use. I call it PSP. And this becomes so important. If you remember nothing from this session this morning, if you just remember, and the next step is, and what I'm about to share with you, PSP. PSP, patience. That's what it takes with the customer sometimes in getting to the finish. Silence, the ability to simply stop in your presentation, to simply stop and let the consumer think. The air doesn't have to be filled with your words all the time. These are powerful components. And finally, pausing. They're all pretty much the same. PSP, patience, silence, and pausing. The 3 most powerful tools you can use in your sales presentation today are these 3 letters, these 3 words, these 3 tools. I hope you'll do it. I hope you'll use these to make a difference with your customers. You let their brain think for a moment so that they can make good decisions. The only path to self-realization is through authenticity. And so you have to let the real you come out. And so that's really the simplicity of what becoming the unsalesperson is all about. If you would like to follow me, I post some fun things sometimes. A lot of times it has to do with travels around the world. I'll share this with you. I literally had some postings a few years ago where I was in Ukraine. So my heart goes out for them today as I watch this, because I had clients in Ukraine that I went over to help them sell homes. They were very progressive and they really loved American ingenuity. So my heart goes out to them today. And so if you want to follow me on Instagram, there it is, Instagram at Palumbo J. And finally, you can go to our website to pick up any of our books. But if you liked what you've heard today, and I kind of call this the Cliff Note session, and you want to dig deeper, I'm making a special offer to your area. If you'll use this code TSMC 2022, you can get my most popular book, which was a sellout at IBS and is currently selling off the shelves. We're having to make more orders for, is Becoming the Unsalesperson. It'll dig deeper into the things that we talked about this morning, going much deeper than what I have in this session, giving you some fresh ideas. And in fact, if you'll take your phone and just take your phone and go turn your camera on and go right up close, you can get that QR code. It'll take you straight to the site to get it. Just remember, when you get there, you'll want to put in this code TSMC 2022 to get 20% off and free shipping. So that's the beauty. I'm going to leave that up there for just another moment in case you want to take that down, or you can just go to johnpalumbo.com. But this will take you straight to the book and a special offer that's good for a very limited time to get the free shipping and 20% off on the book. And I'll also, any books that we ship out in the next few days, I will include for you the pocket card, which is this. I know it's just a card, but I do these for every program, and it goes over the 7 key factors. And it's something you can carry with you. It's something you can tape on your desk, you can put by your computer, that just helps remind you of these 7 factors of becoming a true master and becoming an unsalesperson. So I'm proud to make the offer to you for my newest book, The Unsalesperson. And, you know, I try to tell people I write books the way that I read them. And my best reading is done between 9 p.m. and 9:05 p.m. I know it. I don't get a lot of reading done. It's pretty short because I'm so busy. But this book is written in such short segments. It actually is 30 choices in 30 days. So it's designed for you to take 30 days to read it. You're not obligated to push through it in one day or one night. Some people do. But it's meant to be a couple of pages a day, give you those ideas that you can take straight to the field and implement immediately with your customers, and use them, and then digest it, and then come back the next day and do another one. That's the simplicity of how it's done. It's been a pleasure being with you this morning. I hope that when real live meetings resume, I have the opportunity to get back up your way. I always love coming there. I have so many friends that when I come up that way. So all I want to do is say thank you and have a great morning. If you have questions, you're always welcome to direct them to me. And that's it. I'm going to turn the show back over to you guys.
Wow, John, that was unbelievable. The unbelievable presentation for the unsalesperson. You're exactly right, is what I took away from it. So
that's exactly what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure to have you. I also want to take a minute to thank our sponsors for 2022 again, and let you know that our first live TSMC meeting is set for May 18th. So put that all on your calendars. Everyone, please clap on camera. This was a fantastic presentation. Thank you so much. I will make sure that I'm going to make sure I'm going to become an unsalesperson. Thank you so much, John.
Thank you. My pleasure. Have a great day, everybody. Good to see you.
All right, bye, everybody. Thank you.
See y'all.